Good Cowboy fans, it's your boy Uncle Fred back in the house. I had some time to think and reflect upon the game on yesterday. I was a little upset. I was in my feelings. I was in my emotions, and I had time to think about it. A little more time to do a little reflectiveness. I don't know if that's a word. So we're gonna talk about that. A little bit of revisionist opinions on yesterday's game. And the news is not good on the injury front. We're going to talk about that too, and then the ramifications on the roster and the jostling around on that position group, what that means going forward. And then after much hand wringing and ado, we did sign a veteran receiver, but not the one you thought. But but I went and looked. They are comparable, and we gonna talk about here in just a minute. Y'all buckle your seatbelts and sit back. Let's go. Let's go. What's good, Cowboy fans? It's your boy Uncle Fred back in the house, back in the saddle one more again, more content. I know I usually come back midweek, but I thought I'd come on in a little early, give you a little short video on the updates on some things we found out, and to kind of give you a little bit of the day after. Sometimes you all in your emotions the day of the game, and you just, and then sometimes you get a chance to just sleep on it, and sometimes it's not as bad as you thought it was. I mean, you still may have some concerns, but maybe it's not, as bad as you thought it was, and you have a little more introspective with it. So we're gonna talk about that first. So yeah, we had a little narrow win yesterday over the Houston Texans. I kept calling them the Titans, but the Texans, 27-23, and no, we didn't look good, and we couldn't get some things. They came prepared for us. They put all their eggs in that basket, and we played, didn't play well. They played about as well as they could play, and we eked out a 27-23 win. Okay, but I went to thinking about that. Like, are we the only team that's allowed to have a close win? Because last time I checked, didn't Kansas City just barely get by Denver yesterday? Wasn't it like 38-34 or 35? uh, uh, 28, 34-28. And a Russell Wilson concussion away from probably winning that game. They were probably a 10-point underdog. The Broncos were. You know, nobody's talking about them like that. And Patrick Mahomes threw 3 picks, right? So the Philadelphia Eagles. I know they the best thing since sliced bread. Hear them tell it, right? But didn't they have a near miss against the Colts, who with Jeff Saturday making his second coaching uh, you know game ever? What did they win? 17-16? Didn't they lead like almost that game? Kind of like we did at the last minute. They made a drive and Jalen Hurts ran it in for the touchdown. They won it on, basically with like 3 minutes left to go in the game, 2 minutes, about like we did yesterday. Nobody's even mentioning that. I'm like, dude, you do know they almost lost to the Colts, a team we beat by 5. Okay. And then it wasn't like they went in there and ripped up the Houston Texans either. They played them. They won 26-17, won by 9. I think they're favored by like 12, 13 or something like that. So, you know. Well, that's what it is, man. It's what it is. But, hey, we scored more points on them than they did. We scored 27. They scored 26. You know. True enough, we do need to tighten up the ship, tighten up the screws. We need to become more focused, more disciplined. um, um, and execute better. You know, and hopefully this game was a wake up call in all of those areas. Now, one of the areas of concern, and I was, you know, sometimes the offense can come and go. Sometimes we kind of, But what I was really concerned about is we didn't register a single sack yesterday. That's kind of troubling to me. A team that led the league in like 47 sacks didn't get a single sack against one of the worst, offensive lines. I know Jeremy Tunstall and Green are pretty good. The guy they drafted, but he didn't play yesterday. But I thought that we would at least get a couple of sacks off of them, and no picks. We got pick at the end, but we just need to tighten up the ship. I think there's no reason to jump off the bow, no reason to jump off the building. We're fine, but we're gonna have to play much better to go down to Duval and beat the Jacksonville Jaguars on Sunday. We're gonna need more, and we're gonna have to do that less than 100%. And the reason I say this is because we found the news came out today that our Pro Bowler, I'm calling it Pro Bowl right tackle Terrence Steele, did suffer a torn ACL in that fall late in the second quarter on yesterday. Yeah, that's a terrible thing. That's a very terrible thing because our offensive line was starting to come into focus, man, and they were doing the things they were supposed to do. They was blocking for the run. I think that the Cowboys only have given up like 16 sacks all season. And, so they've been doing their job by air and on the ground, right? And so that's very disappointing. It's a double-edged sword disappointing because he's also a restricted free agent. So it's quite possibly Terrence Steele might have played his last game for the Cowboys because he was undrafted out of Texas Christian. And, he's probably making like $1.5 $2 million a year, not making a whole lot of money. And he was probably playing himself into a good contract, but considering how good he's played, there's going to be people looking for his, bidding for his services. It would have been good to have had him for the rest of the duration of the rest of the season to continue to, carve out running lanes and, providing pass protection on that right side. And we know when they put Josh Ball in there, that did not look too good. And he got pressures. He gave up pressures on the next 2 or 3 possessions that he served. And they had to pull Jason Peters out of the mothballs and put him over on the right side, and he filled in admirably. And Dak was able to have time to make his throws. So now, what does that mean going forward? So now, the timing on that is perfect because it means we can move. We're probably going to put Jason Peters over there on the right tackle, and then on the left side, we're going to activate probably Tyron Smith. This coming, he was supposed to have played some this week, but you only mess around with so many roster spots. Now we're a roster spot open because Terrence Steele is going to be moved to the IR now, right? So they'll move Tyron Smith to left tackle, Tyler Smith to left guard, and then you'll have Connor McGovern as the swing guard, fill in where necessary. Maybe even have him at center at some point, But then, see, here's the question you got to ask yourself: are you really willing to have Josh Ball, or let me go from the other side? How many snaps do you really think we can really put on Jason Peters? Now, remember, he's coming off of I want to say is a pectoral muscle thing from like 4 or 5, from like about the time of the Eagles game, about game 6. So we're talking about a month and a half ago. And we know he filled in admirably on yesterday, but I mean, Terrence Steele didn't miss a game. He was that stalwart on that right side. Can we expect that same thing out of Jason Peters? Because really, we're just getting him as a stopgap. He's 40 years old. No. So let's just keep that in mind. So as much as we don't want to hear this, we're going to have to platoon Josh Ball on that right tackle side unless we're going to pull up somebody else out of the free agency or pull up somebody else off the waiver wire. Maybe there's somebody on our practice squad we can move up because we got to get that right side, and I just don't know if Jason Peter can be an every down, right tackle at 40. That's all. So those are some questions. Have not heard no more on Dorrance Armstrong um, or Jonathan Hankins, which I'm really got my fingers crossed for Jonathan Hankins, because Jonathan Hankins, I mean, he's our run stopping defensive tackle. And ever since we've gotten him, we know we had that one bad game. We had just picked him up in that off week, and he was kind of getting acclimated to us on the Green Bay game. We gave up 200 yards against Green Bay, but ever since then against Minnesota, we gave up like 80 yards rushing. Against New York Giants, we only gave up like 80 to 90 yards rushing, and against the Colts, we gave up less than 100 yards rushing. And then on yesterday, we gave up, I think it was 106 or something like that. And when all of those teams had good backs, you go from Saquon Barkley to Darwin Cook to Jonathan Taylor to Damian Pierce, and we held all those teams, without having a 100-yard, game or whatnot. So Jonathan Hankins is doing the job in that middle. Him and Quentin Bohannon, Odigizua, and Neville Gallimore. Those are all the guys we've been platooning in for that spot. So hopefully Jonathan Hankins, look, the regular season going to be what it is. We're going to definitely need him for the playoffs. So that's what the thing is. So now as we talk about the playoffs, we get ready to close this video. It wasn't going to be a long video. Just wanted to tell y'all a couple of things. We did sign us a wide receiver after a bunch of hand wringing. Did sign us a wide receiver. No, his initials ain't OBJ, it's TY. And I remember him at Lucas Oil scoring his touchdowns, and he's like, today we signed veteran wide receiver T.Y. Hilton, who was let go last year by the Indianapolis Colts, caught 23 passes last year for the Colts in I think 8 games or something like that. And so he's a veteran receiver. I think he's 33 years old. But now, here's something interesting. They talked to Mike McCarthy today about the signing, and notice how he characterizes the signing of T.Y. Hilton. And look at what he's kind of shooting over the bow at. He says here, it's a great addition, said head coach Mark McCarthy following the signing. Obviously, he's been working all year, so he's in great shape. And he's in great shape medically. He had a great workout, so I'm looking forward to it. He's meeting with the receivers coach, Robert Prince, right now. And he's ready to go right now. As opposed to, we don't know if he's going to play into the playoffs. So, and no, we're not working out. No, we're not doing that. No, we're not meeting with the wide receivers. No, all this sort of stuff. So you have one receiver come in with a bunch of fanfare, a bunch of hoopla, come into the Mavericks game, going to Nick and Sam's and all of the stuff going on with that. And then having all the other players campaigning, putting out public service announcements. And the other guy just signs you. You didn't even know he got signed. It was like, well, it's different. They 2 different classes of receivers. So, I mean, he can't come in on the same kind of way OBJ come in. I'm like, oh, really? So I took the liberty, and Uncle Fred did take the liberty, and looking at the resumes of the 2 wide receivers. Now, I'm going to say this. In no way am I trying to say that I believe T.Y. Hilton is as good a receiver or has the talent base that an OBJ has. But when you start looking at their careers, they're a lot more closer aligned than you might think. Here, Mom Frere, we're going to show you, because I know you was going to ask me. All right? T.Y. Hilton, I think he was a second-round draft pick out of FIU. He's 5'10", 183 pounds. came in the league in 2012, and he has come into 2012. Had 50 catches, 861, and 7 touchdowns. Subsequently, after that, he had 5,000 yard seasons. Okay, in we want to say 11 seasons. Um, yeah, yeah. He has logged 143 games, caught 631 passes for 9,691 yards and 53 touchdowns, with the longest of which is 87 yards. Okay, all right. So we look at that, and then we look at OBJ. OBJ is a 10-year veteran. Okay, 2 years difference. I think 12 years and 10 years. I think I said 11. It's 12 years. I think he's 30. Okay. He has logged 96 games, so it's a 47 game difference. He's played 47 fewer games. He's only caught 531 passes. So for all the hoopla and all the pyrotechnics, he only caught 531 passes. He's 100 fewer passes than T.Y. Hilton, although he's played 47 fewer games. So, he averaged about 4.5, 5 passes per game. So, they're kind of in the same ballpark. OBJ's only caught passes for 7,376 yards, so it's like over 2,000 yards of difference. And he's caught 56 touchdowns, so he's 3 more touchdowns than T.Y., his longest of which is 89 yards. But here's the thing. We think of OBJ being this big play receiver and all this kind of stuff, going over the top and beating people deep. He's got great speed, right? Do you know that in OBJ's illustrious career, his career catch average per game average, per catch average is only 13.9 yards per catch, and T.Y.'s is 15.4. So I said that to say this. It's not like we getting a stiff, okay, to play receiver. No, he doesn't. He's not as polished. Doesn't have all of the glitz and the glamour that an OBJ have. But he's a good receiver, and he's going to add a lot of personality, a lot of I guess you would call expertise, to that wide receiver room. And he's going, he's going to teach OBJ, CD and Mike Gallup, a little bit to teach them some things, So I'm happy with the signing. Could have signed him back in the spring, but they was trying to see what was going to happen with James Washington. So we got them both. So we got 2 wide receivers. They're both about the same size, both veteran wide receivers. And we're going to see. James Washington didn't have a great game, didn't register a catch. He had a couple of catches that he got knocked out of his hand, but he'll be fine. He hadn't played this season either. Now, the great thing about T.Y. is he's 100% healthy. Okay, he gonna have a problem. See, OBJ is gonna have 2 things working against him. He's gonna have the injury, working out of the injury, and the rust because he hadn't played this year. T.Y. is only gonna have the rust from not having played this year. He's not coming off of an injury. Now I think he might have got injured some last year, but he's been healthy this whole year. And it's just a matter of nobody picked him up. We picked him up, and I'm looking for him to play some this Sunday and get him acclimated, and we'll see what happens. But we're gonna definitely need as many hands on deck if we go down to Duval and play these Jacksonville Jaguars. So I'll be coming to you guys later in the week to see what I think about what's gonna happen on the game against Jacksonville. So. But anyway, I just want to give you the heads up on that. Terrence Steele out for the season. And we signed T.Y. Hilton, so it's kind of a, lost one off of the 53-man roster, and we gained one. So, but we're going to see what happens. But anyway, please like, comment, and subscribe. Become a part of the Uncle Fred Sports Experience. I guarantee to you. You will not be disappointed. That's all I got. God bless. Catch you guys on the next video. Take care.